Hello everyone. So originally I was going to write a speech about how I like to magnify small things in my life to have a greater meaning, and also how I really hated the idea of formality. But recent events have caused me to scrap those two ideas, rethink, and present my new thoughts. So last week on Sunday around 7 p.m. I found out that my grandmother passed away, and I was obviously shocked and questioned why it happened so suddenly. But eventually I just sat and thought for a bit what I could take away from the whole situation. And I'll briefly share with you all a couple of cliche but really important lessons that I realized too late. So the first one is to not take yourself too seriously. I understand that life is hard not to take seriously. We all have obligations that we must fulfill and extensive goals that we put on ourselves because they give us tangible ways and concrete ways of measuring our growth as people. However, in the midst of pursuing these notions, we tend to forget who we are and eventually never gain a true happiness from what we're doing. Because of this, I think it's important to take breaks and become loose. Laugh at yourself. Realize that you're not perfect and embrace the mistakes you make. Find the balance between being serious and light is key. I know it is hard, and in fact, I'm working on this currently. The other and probably the most important one, I think, is the fact that life is short. You guys have heard this many times. This phrase gets repeated constantly. But most of the time, I believe that we truly do not realize the true magnitude of this. And allow me to put some context on this. The average lifespan of a human in the 21st century is about 79 years. A little over 3/4 of a century. For many people in industrialized countries, and something that's becoming more and more prominent in developing countries, the first quarter or so of our lives are spent toiling behind a desk, looking for a little sheet of paper or plaque that we like to call a degree. And after they attain this coveted degree, they go into the workforce for about 40 years. And they endure even more stress than they probably did in their education. Now, according to the average, after those 40 years of being in the workforce, we have approximately 15 more years to enjoy what this world has given us. 15 years may seem like a lot, but when I sit back and think about the fact that I'm already a high school senior, and I can remember as if it was just yesterday that I was going into kindergarten and enjoying nap class, it's really not that far, and it doesn't really take that long to go across those 15 years. Now, all of this is not to strike any fear, but to simply urge you to keep in mind that when you have the opportunities to experience what the world has to offer, realize that unless science can make us live longer than we've ever imagined before, I'll admit there are shockingly new scientific revelations that do reveal data that longer lives are possible by re-engineering DNA. Our days are pretty numbered to experience our unique lives. So simply put, do what you want to do as soon as you possibly can, as long as it does not disrupt civil peace, of course. So, like I mentioned before, I know that these are lessons that you've heard thousands of times from the adults in your lives. But they repeat these facts because many of us do not grasp them quickly. Do not be like me. Pay attention and realize these ideas before something life-changing happens. To quote the immortal words of the revolutionary cosmologist Stephen Hawking, life would be tragic if it weren't funny. So laugh at it, enjoy it before it vanishes. Thank you for listening.